I know what you're thinking, how could there be a second Giganotosaurus? We've seen the first one die. Well, I'm going to explain all that in today's video. So we all know the fearsome Giganotosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion, and if you haven't seen it, go and see it. And we all know that the Giganotosaurus perishes at the end of Jurassic World Dominion, so how could there be a second Giganotosaurus? You might be thinking, how is this possible, Shadows? Well, let me explain and let me go into detail. We only know of the one cloned Giganotosaurus at the moment, and that was the Giganotosaurus in Biocene Valley, and after its death it could be possible that it fell back into extinction. However, it is possible that an unknown specimen and or / genetic material is still available somewhere else in the world. Now again, you might be thinking, how is this possible, Shadows? Well, we do know back in 2014 they had Giganotosaurus DNA. InGen had Giganotosaurus DNA back in 2014. How, you might be asking? Well, they made the Indominus Rex with it. So you were telling me that they had this genome, this DNA, and they didn't create their own Giganotosaurus? We even know that the Giganotosaurus was meant to be in Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, but was later cut. So they obviously had plans for this to have been created back in Jurassic World, way before Biocene. Now, the original Giganotosaurus had been in Biocene Valley for a number of years by the looks of it. It's very scarred, very beat up. It's clearly been in a lot of combat. Now, is that going to be a lot of combat in the Biocene Valley? Because that was supposed to have been a sanctuary, believe it or not. So are you telling me this Giganotosaurus got all them scars in the Biocene Sanctuary? Maybe not. Maybe it was actually captured outside of the Biocene Sanctuary. Maybe it was on the black market. Or maybe there is someone else out there cloning dinosaurs from InGen DNA, which is very possible, especially with all these other dinosaurs on the black market, all these other species which were not known in Jurassic World. There can't be just two main players in this, Biocene and InGen. Obviously you have Manticorp in the mix as well, which cloned their dinosaurs too, but was shut down sometime in 2016. Someone out there has that Giganotosaurus DNA because it was at Jurassic World, so they could have quite easily have cloned their own Giganotosaurus. Now, in regards to new movies, new franchises, new series, we have very little information. We do know that there is going to be a new animated series coming out sometime in the future, and if you want to know all about that, check out this video here because I explain it all. But we could see potential of lots of other dinosaurs, maybe a second Giganotosaurus, because it seems to be very much a one and done with the Jurassic World Dominion. That is not the end. We have more to talk about. Obviously we know that InGen had that DNA in 2014 for the Indominus Rex. So what did they do with it? Did they just use it for the Indominus Rex and not create a clone themselves? Especially with it being planned to be in Fallen Kingdom and then comes in Dominion. You telling me that Biocene are the only ones who cloned it? Obviously in the current canon there is only one Giganotosaurus species to be known, but that doesn't mean there isn't other species out there which we do not know about. Just look at the Jurassic franchise as a whole. Jurassic World had the hybrid storyline with the Indominus Rex and then created the Endoraptor just after it, and before that everyone was very much like, they're not going to make another hybrid, yada yada yada. The great thing about the Jurassic franchise is it can make anything it wants canon by creating new storylines in the future, but as of right now, obviously canonically we only have the one Giganotosaurus, but that is not to say they will not change that in the future. The same thing happened with the Spinosaurus in Jurassic Park 3. Everyone was like, oh, canonically it's dead, it died on Sauna, but yet we see it come back in Camp Cretaceous Season 4. A lot of people are then saying this is a different Spinosaurus. It was actually confirmed by the director that it is the same Spinosaurus, but they have the ability to retcon it later because they then go and say, well, maybe it might be a different one because of the difference in role. So they're kind of saying, yes it is, and at the same time, no it isn't. So they have the ability to change that if they want in the future, and they could quite easily do that with the Giganotosaurus, especially with the DNA being in the Indominus Rex. Now let's focus a little bit on its lifespan in the Biocene Sanctuary, because we know in 2022 it is the apex predator of the Biocene Valley and the Sanctuary. But how long has it been in there? Why would they not make a second Giganotosaurus to see how they act in pairs? Maybe create a breeding pair potentially. Maybe they did. Maybe that's where it's got its scars from, and it was actually fighting a second Giganotosaurus, and that hasn't been mentioned as of yet, not in the canon anyway, and it certainly wouldn't have been mentioned in the Dominion movie. But it is quite evident even in the canon that they had plans plans to use this in Fallen Kingdom because we had the concept art, and then it was cut from the actual final product. So the Giganotosaurus was being prepped to be used in Fallen Kingdom. So they obviously had a storyline for it to have been manufactured / cloned way before the events of 2018. So they had that storyline ready, but then later cut it. But there's no reason why they couldn't then use that same storyline in future Jurassic World movies or Jurassic World spin-off series. There's lots to explore now in the future of the Jurassic World lore, especially with all the new Dominion stuff which has come out, the Biosang Sanctuary. We have all kinds of questions left unanswered, which they can answer in the future, such as what happened to the DNA from Jurassic World, which was used to clone all their dinosaurs? Did Henry Wu take every single drop, or did some of it get leaked onto the black market? We do know, obviously, that some of it has gone to the black market. Some of it Henry Wu had. Some of it was taken by mercenaries and taken by force. So there's quite a massive possibility that there are unheard of species of dinosaur out there in the world at the moment. Even the potential for a second Giganotosaurus, even a third maybe. Especially as Biosang was saying that they were not altering their DNA, so it'd be quite easy to extract that DNA themselves and create them clones. But if they do manufacture the InGen DNA, perhaps that was changed. Perhaps you could see a different type of Giganotosaurus, because we know InGen filled in the blanks, changed the DNAs of its dinosaurs to make them look different. The characteristics of the dinosaurs were different to the real life counterparts, where Biosang was saying they were trying to make them as historically accurate as possible without changing whatever they had to in the DNA. So perhaps the InGen Giganotosaurus would look very different to the Giganotosaurus we see in the Biosang Valley. That is also a huge possibility right there. And how cool would that be in the future to see a Jurassic World, a new animated show, whatever it might be, and you see this Giganotosaurus, but whoever's there is like, that looks like a Giganotosaurus. And then all of a sudden they're like, this doesn't look like no ordinary Giganotosaurus. This has changed. This doesn't look like the Giga from Biosang Valley. And boom, before you know it, we have a new storyline right there. Obviously, this is a theory of mine and has some substance behind it, especially with that DNA and the fact that we knew it was meant to be in Fallen Kingdom. So they had a storyline ready to show that that Giganotosaurus was made or cloned before the events of 2018. Now, obviously, they could repurpose that and put it into a story in the future, and it could explain how we could see a second Giganotosaurus out there in the world, especially with the DNA readily available on the black market. Now, again, all this is non-canon, so I don't want to see any martyrs in the comments like saying this couldn't happen because it's not canon. We know that. We know it's not canon. This is a theory of how there could be a second Giganotosaurus. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks to my Patreons and YouTube members for supporting me as always. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Check out all my other videos. There's plenty of videos on dinosaurs on the channel. You will love them. Go and check them out now. See you guys later. Cheers. Bye-bye.